So, Mr. Ballinger, why do you think you're the right candidate as head of ESG Strategy here at Fashióne?
Well, I'm going to give it to you straight. What you need to understand is that the position you are trying to fulfill has nothing to do with your company being ESG friendly. In fact, it is a matter of public relations. PR.
Sorry, Mr. Ballinger. Are you implying that our company can be ESG friendly without implementing ESG measures?
Correcto.
Please don't smoke here.
And I'm going to tell you how. Over the last 20 years, we have seen a significant increase in the hysteria regarding sustainability and ESG. It is now more in focus than ever before. And be aware, it's not only the hippie liberal tree huggers anymore, it's everyone, consumers, investors, politicians. All of them seem to be concerned. Sure, some of the concern might be on the level, but most of it, just a slick cover-your-back routine if you ask me. This frenzy has put pressure on companies to be more environmentally friendly, as they need to remain attractive to consumers and investors. There's only one problem. It isn't always so easy for companies to become ESG friendly overnight. And sometimes, as in your case, it's not even possible to be ESG friendly at all. Therefore, the corporate world has found its own solutions. On the street, it's known as greenwashing. They define it as the act of making false or misleading statements about the environmental benefits of a product or practice. Myself like to refer to it as green painting, as it truly is an art. I've been studying the craft for decades. I got all the cheats and tricks down cold. The term greenwashing was first used in 1986 by environmentalist Jay Westerveld. He attacked the hotel industry due to their clever little trick of encouraging customers to reuse towels to help the environment, when in reality, it mainly helped their profits. Westerveld called the poor guys out in his paper, setting off the first domino in this corporate witch hunt. One moment you're thriving in a fair capitalist game, the next you're cast as the villain. From here on out, the art of green painting has only become more challenging, or more intriguing if you ask me. You've got to be clever, and subtlety is key. No room for flashy moves. Take Volkswagen, for instance, the prime example of a wannabe environmental rock star who got too greedy. Starting in 2009, Volkswagen, including their subsidiary brands, embarked on a massive advertising campaign to promote clean diesel. In 2010, their subsidiary brand Audi even launched a commercial on the biggest stage there is, Super Bowl. They went hard, and it worked. People felt good driving their cars, believing they were eco-friendly. But then, in 2015, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency discovered that Volkswagen had programmed its TDI diesel engines on over 11 million cars to cheat emission tests. This meant that the vehicle's emissions met U.S. standards during regulatory testing. In reality, they produced nitrogen oxide emissions up to 40 times the legal limit. The scandal was estimated to cost Volkswagen over 30 billion euros. If you want to play the game, you got to know the rules. Ironically, the 2010 Super Bowl ad showed people getting arrested for not caring about the environment. Another example, which I admire more, is the case of Verra. This is the world's largest certifier of so-called voluntary carbon offsets. These carbon offsets work as a trading mechanism in which entities can compensate for their greenhouse gas emissions by investing in projects that reduce emissions elsewhere. Verra sells such carbon offsets, in which one, coincidentally among the most commonly used, is related to the rainforest. However, it was revealed that over 90% of such offsets sold by Verra are largely worthless and could even make global warming worse. You've got to give it to them for the effort hiding in plain sight. An organization with the sole purpose of being ESG friendly, trying some fancy tricks. My point is, being smart is just the entry ticket. To survive, you got to be 10 steps ahead. You see, there's a growing number of forces actively trying to stop greenwashing. For example, already back in 2007, an organization called Carbon Trust launched a green standard that aimed to end greenwash and highlight firms that are genuine about their environmental commitment. Others have tried to reduce greenwashing by exposing it to the public. The University of Oregon, together with Enviromedia Social Marketing, created the Greenwashing Index, which allowed the public to upload examples of greenwashing. Another interesting attempt was in 2022 when the World Federation of Advertisers launched guidelines on environmental claims, and I stress, guidelines. To me, it's just a tool to more easily spot loopholes. There is, however, one action that is shown to have a direct effect on investors and consumers, namely sustainability ratings. Studies have shown that sustainability ratings can deter greenwashing, in which a bad rating will negatively affect the consumer. This is also the case from an investor perspective. High sustainability-rated funds attract more easily new capital. And that is despite the fact that they are not even outperforming low sustainability funds in terms of financial performance. Well, I've never seen anything like it. It's as if the boomer generation was the last group of sane people on Earth. People are straight up sacrificing financial gains in exchange for better ESG performance. At least, that's what they think. Because here's the punchline. Studies done by Columbia University and London School of Economics showed that the companies in the ESG portfolios even had worse compliance record for both labor and environmental rules than those in non-ESG portfolios. What does this mean? It means that you can still be in an ESG portfolio and attract capital more easily without being greener. Why is this, you may wonder? Well, almost anyone can give these ratings. Just recently, Germany's Deutsche Bank was claimed to greenwash companies to sell its ESG fund at a premium. And luckily for you guys, I have some buddies on the inside who could hook us up with a good rating. But remember, you don't want it to be too good or else you'll gain unnecessary heat. But not only are these Gen Zs publicly trying to make us look bad, they're constantly creating new regulations which make it harder to greenwash your business. As we are all well aware of, Gen Z loves the alphabet, and this is also reflected in the ESG regulations. SFDR, CSRD, NFRD. I won't dive into the details since they're not particularly interesting. The only thing you need to know is that you want to control this in-house. Me and my team have been through the regulation jungle and know the ropes. The last thing you want is some try-hard, newly graduated ESG consultant to stir in your numbers. And if all this isn't enough, those freaks even try to make us devil-like by creating the 7 sins of greenwashing, which I managed to tweak into the 7 commandments of green painting. Thou shalt only use an unreasonably narrow set of attributes without attention to other critical environmental issues. Thou shalt never use easily accessible information or a reliable third-party certification. Thou shalt use poorly defined or broad claims that are easily misunderstood. Thou shalt give the impression of a third-party endorsement even though it doesn't exist. Thou shalt use an irrelevant truth in your environmental claim. Thou shalt make claims that, while true within the product category, cleverly distract consumers from the broader environmental impact. And lastly, and most importantly, thou shalt lie. Well, though these were more efficient back in the days, it's still a nice list to keep in the back of your head, but you gotta use them smartly. A while back, I also created a self-made KPI, or a key performance indicator if you want. I named it EP, not to be confused with the classic price per earnings, PE. EP represents the average number of ESG buzzwords per page in an annual report, with the purpose of finding the perfect number of buzzwords to satisfy the investor. You got a Buddhism this one. You don't want to go too high nor too low, and as with all KPIs, it varies for different sectors. I used it while I was working in the oil industry, in which I found the optimal sector EP to be just below 6 based on the list of buzzwords I used. For example, the British oil company BP had an EP of 5.84 in their 2023 annual report, while Shell had a slightly higher ratio of 6.11. However, I have yet to figure out the optimal EP for your sector. As you may have understood by now with my tricks, you can keep doing exactly what you are doing, but at the same time be more attractive to consumers and investors, resulting in increasing sales and easier access to capital. And most importantly, avoid getting caught in the corporate witch hunt. What you need to understand is this. At the end of the day, what consumers and investors really want is just some easy way to feel good about themselves.
Can I just ask, why do you want to work here? At Fashióne?
As I said, I have worked in the oil industry for several years, as I wanted to challenge my skills, but after some time I realized that it didn't really matter. You were an oil company that printed money. The critics would always be there but couldn't really touch you. And that's why I'm here. I realized that the ultimate challenge is the fast fashion industry, to make a company that profits from creating cheap, trendy clothes based on celebrity culture at breakneck speed to meet consumer demands, to make that look environmentally friendly. Now that's the real deal.
God damn it. A pleasure to have you on our team, Mr. Ballinger.